Watch carefully. In part 1, we talked about conditioning, how inconsistency creates emotional dependency, how unpredictability increases attachment. But now we go deeper, because the real question isn't how it works. The real question is, did they know? Stay with me, because this is where it becomes uncomfortable. Most people don't manipulate randomly. They test first, very subtly. They pull back slightly, and watch your reaction. Do you double text? Do you ask if something's wrong? Do you try to fix the energy? That reaction tells them everything, not emotionally, strategically. The first withdrawal is never about distance, it's about data. They're measuring how anxious you become, how quickly you chase, how much imbalance you tolerate, and once they see your tolerance level, the pattern becomes intentional. This is where people make a dangerous assumption. They assume inconsistency means confusion, but often, it means calibration. They adjust their behavior based on your reactions. If you tolerate silence, silence increases. If you tolerate cancellation, respect decreases. If you tolerate emotional distance, connection becomes conditional, not because they're lost, but because they're learning what you allow. Let that sink in. Manipulation grows inside tolerated behavior. Now here's something most people never consider. When someone alternates between warmth and distance, they're not confused. They're regulating your emotional state. When you feel secure, they reduce attention. When you feel distant, they increase it. Not randomly, precisely. This creates something powerful, emotional instability. And emotional instability increases focus. You start thinking about them more, analyzing them more, valuing their presence more, because now it feels scarce. Scarcity increases perceived value, and perceived value increases attachment. That's not romance, that's psychology. Now let's go even deeper. Intentional manipulators rarely show aggression early. They show attentiveness. They mirror your interests. They align with your values. They create similarity, because similarity builds trust quickly. But similarity can be manufactured. Mirroring isn't connection, it's strategy. Once trust is established, withdrawal begins. And this is where intent becomes visible. If someone truly cared about stability, they would communicate shifts. But intentional imbalance avoids clarity, because clarity removes control. Silence is rarely accidental. Delayed responses are rarely random. Emotional coldness after intimacy is rarely coincidence. It's emotional positioning. Positioning creates hierarchy, and the one who controls consistency controls emotional power. Now ask yourself something uncomfortable. When they pulled away, did they seem confused or calm? Most manipulators appear calm during distance, because distance is deliberate. They're not overwhelmed, they're observing. And the more anxious you become, the more secure they feel, because now they know you're invested. Investment creates leverage. Leverage creates control. And control creates psychological advantage. Here's the part that's hardest to accept. Some people enjoy the validation of being chased, not because they love you, but because your pursuit confirms their power. Your anxiety feeds their ego. Your effort feeds their control. And once they realize you won't leave easily, inconsistency increases. Because they don't fear loss, they've measured your attachment. Now, this doesn't mean every inconsistent person is a mastermind. Sometimes immaturity looks similar. But here's the difference. Immaturity is chaotic. Intentional manipulation is structured. There's rhythm to it. Warmth, distance, return, escalation. And the cycles repeat with precision. If you look back, you'll often notice patterns. The pullbacks happen right after intimacy deepens. The silence happens right after you express vulnerability. The distance happens right after commitment increases. That timing is not random. It's strategic destabilization, because vulnerability increases your attachment, and pulling away right after vulnerability increases dependency. Now think about this. If they truly feared losing you, would they risk destabilizing you repeatedly? Probably not. But if they know you won't leave, Destabilization becomes safe for them. That's when manipulation becomes comfortable, and comfort makes it more frequent. Now here's the most important part. Control only works when you doubt yourself, when you assume you're overthinking, when you assume you're too sensitive, when you blame yourself for the imbalance. Self-doubt protects the manipulator, clarity protects you. So how do you know if it was intentional? Look at consistency over time. Look at patterns. Look at whether imbalance benefits them. Does their distance increase your effort? Does their silence increase your pursuit? Does their unpredictability increase your attachment? If the answer is yes, it wasn't random. It was functional. And functional behavior is rarely accidental. Real connection builds stability. Intentional manipulation builds dependency. One makes you calm, the other makes you anxious. One grows slowly, the other spikes intensely. One feels secure, the other feels urgent. Urgency often hides control. And once you recognize that, you stop confusing intensity with depth. You stop chasing relief. You stop rewarding distance. And that's when the power shifts. Because manipulation only works when you participate. Once you stop responding to imbalance, the structure collapses. And here's something interesting. When you stop chasing, intentional manipulators often panic. Because control requires reaction. No reaction, no leverage. And no leverage, no control. So ask yourself honestly, was it confusion or was it calibration? Were they overwhelmed or were they measuring? Because once you see the pattern clearly, you can't unsee it. And once you stop participating in it, you regain control of your emotional stability. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Because awareness removes illusion, and illusion is where manipulation survives. In part 3, we'll break down how silence is used as a psychological weapon. Because silence isn't absence, it's strategy, and most people never see it coming. Pay attention to the pattern, because once you see it, you can't unsee it.